Sancho to score. No mistakes this time.
That is a rocket.
Royce and another fantastic goal by Marco Royce. Haaland's volley is beautiful beyond compare.
Jetzt kommt das Wunder von Dortmund. Foulspiel von Inzo an Götze.
Needs to lay it off. We're going to shot away. Oh, what a goal!
Welcome back to Dortmund Dispatch. Today I'm joined by Ali and Joey. Is that a ring on your finger? What's going on, bud?
Hey man, it's not on my finger, but it's on my, I guess you could call her my fiancée now. So on my fiancée's finger.
Congratulations, Joey. So I assume you had a great weekend?
I had a wonderful weekend. Got engaged Friday afternoon and spent a lot of the weekend talking to friends, family, and just enjoying the fact that I'm engaged now. And yeah, really, really exciting. And shout out to my fiancée, Sierra.
Well, I spent about an engagement ring worth of money on my dog getting butt surgery at the vet this weekend, so I didn't have a great weekend. Ali, how was your weekend?
I'm coming off a very busy weekend, so I was catching on some sleep, but I'm good. I'm ready to go, man. I'm ready to go.
Okay, so did you guys get a chance to watch Borussia Dortmund's very dominant 3-2 win over Lille this weekend?
Saw the first half, and then, for obvious reasons, was pretty busy this weekend. But from that first half, I was pleased with what I thought was quite a bit of attacking dominance from Dortmund.
I only caught the highlights. I'm so sorry. Like I said, very busy weekend, very busy week. So I caught the highlights. There's always, I think, things to be I'm happy about when you see Dortmund play. Especially from a certain, number 27. But I think overall, it's an upward feeling. It's very different to how we felt last year on this time. But what do you think?
Yeah, no. So I actually watched the whole game. I mean, at the end of the game, I will say, it's definitely a straight line down in terms of how much attention I'm paying to any preseason game. But Dortmund started first half very dominant. All the good players that you would expect to perform well, I think performed very well. There's definitely some lowlights that are probably making their way around the dark corners of the internet. But just know the pitch was absolutely horrendous. The first half, I don't think it was that bad, but by the second half, every step they took, it was there was a slip, it was just a mess. The broadcast was literally doing zoom-ins, and you could just see, mud, upside down grass, and it's okay, let's keep everyone healthy, let's get to the end of the game. The only thing I will say is that, the first week, Elias Benkar, who's an 18-year-old center back we've talked about a ton on the show, and Filippo Mane, who I've made some jokes about because the club has said for 18 months that he's part of the first team and we haven't seen him play for the first team. He's now played both games essentially as a starter, and physically in all respects of the game, there's not enough to judge him on. But what you can see looks like a Bundesliga level player. I will say that. Benkara at times shows incredible flashes. He's still just 18. He's put on 20, 30 pounds, 12-ish kg in that range. He's put on a ton of weight in the last 12 months. Probably a lot of it coming post-season. And so he looks a little just not... something's off, but the most important thing when you're looking at an 18-year-old center back for me is going to be physically. He looks like he will be a Bundesliga Champions League type player. He has that physical potential in him. He's 6'2", 6'3", and big. He's got some size on him. And the passing, some of the touches aren't necessarily what you'd love to see right now. The instincts aren't there necessarily yet, but this is a very, very young player. And I think you're looking at a guy whose potential is very, very high. Obviously, there's guys his age that are tearing up top leagues, but not everyone needs to do that. This is probably the best center back prospect, including Philip Omane, that the club has seen in a long, long time. And I'm really looking forward to seeing him progress. I don't know if it's a debut in the first half of the season, but potentially like around January time after that winter break, this guy might like just run through the second team, the regional leagues, and make it look a little too easy. Because he might be too good for that level pretty soon if he progresses the way I think he can. But a lot of it will also come down to the technical side of the game because he's trying the right passes, but they look awful. And the sample size is so small, but he has the raw characteristics that you want to see.
I was actually gonna ask if you don't mind me jumping in. So he's 18, right? Would you think the club should keep him with the first team, even if his minutes this season will be reduced, or let him go back to the youth, let him, as you said, get more minutes, tear it up, quote unquote, and then just call on him when he's needed, or like I guess option A would be staying with the experienced player, being in that environment, and just letting him grow in that sense. What do you think is better for him?
Well, I think there's an easy way to find a balance there. Like, the club's not necessarily going to train every day, every week, and you're going to have a lot of times where you might want a center back at some point this season to be a little extra rested. And maybe some days, like Niko Kovac will work with his coaches and they'll have a training plan. They'll be a center back short. Um, and this is why like teams keep all their training facilities in one location. So I think he'll be like riding the bus. I mean, or essentially like walking, changing room to changing room, and like filling in that extra squad spot um, when needed. But I think mainly you kind of want to keep him at least for the next like 3 to 4 months minimum with the second team just to essentially get him some minutes. Like this is a guy that he's young for a U19 player still. Like there's a lot of like 19. He's not there yet. There are guys older than him playing center back for the U19s. I think he's probably gonna be a little like that level for him would be a little too easy. I'd probably start him with the second team. They have some center backs, but I don't really believe in them at all. From what we've seen in this match, especially like what we saw all of last year, whether it was in the second tier or the third tier, or in the few minutes that I'm forgetting his name, he came over from Hanover's U21s. Um, like these guys don't necessarily have what it takes to play for Borussia Dortmund's first team. I think that Ben Kara should go down, play every minute that's available for the second team, and you can reevaluate because he should be in training whenever they need an extra center back. Um, for whatever drills, whatever training they're running, whatever scrimmages they need an extra center back. Like I'd go and get Ben Kara and bring him in. That's essentially my plan.
From the first half that you saw, Joe, what stood out for you in terms of you know what the season could look like? I know it's preseason. He's throwing ideas. He wants to see, Eli was saying earlier with like the pitch situation. But like, just what were your
Um,
notes?
I mean, one observation I had was that for a preseason friendly, it looked like all of the players on the pitch were taking it seriously. And that's something that I think we haven't always seen in the past because the players know that at the end of the day, the match doesn't really count for anything. But there were some pretty physical challenges in there. I think the ref pulled out a couple yellow cards here and there. And I was very pleased. And you might have to correct me because again, I wasn't watching super closely, but it was Bensabaini, I think, who was impressing me a little bit. So that at least gives me a little bit more confidence in him moving forward. Because I think that he was one of Dortmund's better players. I should say at the Club World Cup, minus that poor performance on the loss to Real Madrid, but otherwise really attacking minded play. Um, yeah, again, I didn't see the second half, so I don't have much to say on that. And I missed the two Lille goals, but um, happy with Girassi putting away a penalty, nice and clean. Other than that, though, I'm not sure I have too much more there.
Yeah, we're seeing the only thing I'd really say tactically is Joe Bellingham is almost playing as a forward, like second striker role, but like out of possession, he's dropping in, giving you that extra man in midfield. But in a lot of the phases of play, he's really acting as like a guy that's gonna run into the box, do whatever he wants there. So I think you're kind of returning to where he was 2 seasons ago as a number 10. But he's much better at it now from the early returns we've seen in the Club World Cup and in this match. But let's get into our first story. Johan Bakayoko and Andrea Maximovic were rejected by Borussia Dortmund per Funkus Sport. They mainly wanted to go to Dortmund, play some Champions League football, got rejected, ended up at the advertisers. Are you giving this story some credence? Are you worried about this at all? What are your thoughts?
Go ahead, Ali.
Um, I'm not putting a lot of weight into it yet, just because of the source. But let's take it as if it was like, 100%, right? They were rejected by Dortmund. Um, what what that tells me is they have different targets as well. That they may have not liked something in the negotiation process. Pardon me. We talked about Bakayoko a lot and how he would help the team in terms of like 1v1s, chance creation, things like that, and we still do definitely need that because we did lose JG. We have lost a certain amount of goals from Mullen. I don't know why I laughed when I said that. But in terms of Maximovic, I know of him. I don't know too much about him. I will say that, but something in the negotiation probably went off. If this is real, but yeah, what do you think, Joe?
I mean, at face value, if they were rejected, my first inclination is like, well, I would love to see some like real concrete transfer links for Dortmund. I've got a good friend who's a huge Arsenal fan, and he thinks pretty highly of Bakayoko. So I was a little optimistic on that one, but um, again, because of the source, it's hard to say how legitimate those rumors are. And I could even totally see somebody from our board saying something like, "We rejected those players," just to kind of push the question away or not admit that they weren't able to attract them for whatever reason. What I'm really hoping this means is what I'm hoping in general is that Sebastian Kiel and company are working some deals behind the scenes that we don't know about. I think some of the better deals that the club has made in recent years have been the signings that have come with the least publicity, like the Julian Rierson, the Daniel Svensson. So I'm really hoping that there's another player like that in the mix that maybe we're not that familiar with, but Dortmund is going after, and we're going to hear about it all of a sudden. Um, Otherwise, it'd be nice to have some like some concrete links right now.
I just want to push back on like a small part of one thing you said, where like, oh, maybe these players weren't like interested in Dortmund. Like, I think there's times where like, okay, maybe like AC Milan doesn't have Champions League football, but it's still like a very well-regarded city. It's in Italy. It's a storied club, and a player may want to be like part of the future there. But that's not where these guys went. Like, people rag on Dortmund, but Leipzig's not supposed to be much better as a city, haven't made it out that way. And also, if you look at, like, if you're thinking from a player's perspective, there's guys from Leipzig that have gone on to be decent, but there's guys from Dortmund that have gone on to be and are world class in so many different teams that there's not really, like, a question. Like, do you want to play for Ollie Werner, or do you want to play for like Nico Kovac? And like Nico Kovac
Well,
isn't like the biggest name in coaching, but he's at least been at Bayern Munich and not been mediocre at Werder Bremen.
and to one of Ali's points, actually, I mean, it very well could be that these guys were looking for a stepping stone club, a place to come for a couple years, get a lot of minutes, and propel them to a better place. Um, but at Dortmund, if that's not really what they're trying to do right now, if they're trying to build a squad for Dortmund's future, then that could have thrown a big wrench into the transfer negotiations, especially between clubs and player. But again, it's all just speculation. Um, but at the end of the day, they're with the energy drink. So, and when Leipzig beats us, then that's
Not
on
when,
us.
if, not when.
If you're right.
Yeah.
Well, like I think more likely what it is Johan Bakayoko had a very down year. We've talked about it. 2 years ago he was excellent, and maybe the club's throwing up some red flags. Niko Kovac doesn't want a winger. I think that's a bit more likely. And with Maximovic, like 15 million for an 18-year-old out of Serbia is not without risk, and I think potentially the guy we're about to talk about in a moment um is a little bit not a little bit is well above him in terms of like being ready to compete and take over Champions League minutes. But first, let's talk about a different story. Also in number 10, coincidentally, Parma are unwilling to match Borussia Dortmund's asking price um, for Gio Reyna. And this is per Philip Heinze 24 on, I believe, Twitter. What are your guys' thoughts? Do you think the club is asking too much for Gio Reyna? Do you think someone's going to come in for that 10 million euro valuation?
Oh, sorry, Joe. I'll be really quick. Basically, for me, I think that valuation is relatively fair, considering that he's still quite young, and he could still have a good season or two or three. So I think they aren't asking for much. I think Parma's just looking for a bargain. But that's just what I think.
I don't know how much to read into this right now and how much the deal, whatever's going on, the negotiations are just being stalled at the moment. Of course, I'm going to be the one to bring this up, but I think Gio Reyna got married last week, and if he's not at the table for negotiations, then negotiations aren't going to go anywhere. Um, so I'm kind of willing to just wait and see how this plays out. I do think Dortmund's asking price is fair, um, but there's always a little bit of wiggle room within a million or two, and we'll just kind of see. Maybe there's a sell-on clause or something should Reina become Serie A's top I don't know
Um,
assist.
well, I think like there's a bigger issue potentially unfolding for Parma. Their third or tied for their second most goal contributions last season was Dennis Mann. He's being linked with a move to PSV, and if that happens, Dortmund gains a lot of negotiating room, and so I think that maybe patience here can work out. It depends on your read of the market. And I think that standing firm to your guns is often like good. It's a lot better when the player has shown you a bit more, but Giorena hasn't, and so there is a risk there. But I think that an offer, maybe not the 10 million they wanted, but an 8 plus 2 might be available later in the window, depending on how things unfold. Potentially, like an interesting attacker could be a little guy like Angion Bani, who I've never heard of before looking at Parma's squad list. He's 20 years old and had 10 goals and assists to lead the line. I don't know if he's still there. Oh, no, he was on loan from Inter or got purchased by Inter, so disregard.
That was so perfect.
Anyway, let's move on. I've never not known anything about a player. Like I'm aware of who plays for everyone at every moment. Jadon Sancho rumors, are they serious? I really hope not. What are your thoughts, Ollie?
I will stick to what I said a while back when we first heard this, and I tweeted it recently because someone was asking an open-ended question. I said if the deal makes sense, if we're not spending a fortune to bring him in, I'm okay with it, but he needs to be coming in with a clear idea, like you will be our right winger or you will be our left winger, and you're signing for a while. Like this is not like a 1 year, all right, get your form and then run back to the Premier League. Like I want this player to be around. I think he can offer, but the thing is, I don't want this to be like a part-time gig that he does until he feels good about himself and then leaves again. That I'm trying to be honest about about how I feel.
I don't know why you wouldn't want that, because that's the only way, in my opinion, you have a chance of like extracting more value from the player than you're paying for. Because we talk, like, the rumor is a 50% pay cut, which brings him down to 8 mil. That's more than Julian Brandt. Julian Brandt had over 3 times as many goal contributions this past season. Julian Brandt also had double the tackles and interceptions per 90 this past season. This is a guy that does not contribute in the attack at a high level. This is not a guy that contributes at the attack at a decent level. Chelsea passed up on signing him on like a fairly like low wage and a 20 million fee. The guy is not like that. That's what his market was set. Like the option was technically 25, but they paid 5 million to not take the option. So if you subtract that, 20 million fee. Like the guy was not good this past season.
100%.
7 goals and assists in the league. Had a couple more in the Conference League. I don't know how you count those goals. I was not comparing him to Julian Brandt, because like you're playing for Chelsea against like guys that are on like genuinely like lower middle class wages a lot of the time. That's what I would expect of you. Like like Jadon Sancho's wage, not his Manchester City wage, the wage the part of his wage that was covered by Chelsea was probably bigger than the annual operating cost of some of the teams he was scoring against. And like I'm supposed to believe in that, because I can't believe in what I was seeing from the Premier League, because that was terrible. It was not good. Like it wasn't terrible in the build up, but it wasn't a player that has a role on any top team, because it was only good in the middle phase. He did nothing in the final third, and he did nothing against the ball. And that's not a player that has a home anywhere, and that's not a player you sign on a 4-year contract when he's 25 in the age curve. Has like it starts at 26, and he's already fallen off a bit.
So, in an attempt to not make our Jadon Sancho conversation 20 minutes like we did 2 weeks ago, I've got a couple things to say, and then I'm ready to move on from Sancho. Are the rumors serious? Sancho has already returned once for a loan, so I think they're always serious in a way. I do think one value that Sancho could bring is kind of the intangible, the locker room presence. Some of what we saw, like holding up that boombox, blasting Adele, bringing a confident presence into the locker room, and a player who genuinely wants to be there. Kind of like Ali, if the deal is right, I'm down to bring Sancho back, but I want to see a long-term commitment essentially. And I do want to bring up one rumor that I was just reading this afternoon, and I don't remember the source. It probably isn't the most reliable, like any of these, but I was now reading that there's the potential deal that Sancho could just be loaned back to Dortmund in a deal that would see Dortmund cover like 50 or 60 to 70% of Sancho's salary. At that point, you're looking at $10 to $12 million for the player to loan for a season, but also Sancho would be a free agent at the end of that season. So should he commit to Dortmund, then he could sign on as a free agent, no transfer fee, and then he could take the real pay cut that being a Dortmund player would have to take.
I feel so bad for this guy who's gonna make 16 million euros this next season, and then we get the chance to sign him on a free for when he's no longer gonna be good. Joey, I'm gonna go through something.
I didn't say
really
I felt bad
here.
for him. I was just stating a fact.
He's
not gonna make 20 million at
Oh man.
at Dortmund. But again, we don't need to go back and forth like a couple weeks ago. We can agree to disagree. And our differing opinions make the podcast better.
100%. 100%.
Okay, I have a fun game. We're gonna see how many Adele song titles I can get in honor of her number one fan, Jadon Sancho. When we were young, Jadon Sancho was good. He is chasing pavements back to his hometown glory of Borussia Dortmund, where he will be rolling in the deep bed of his money. And someone like Joey will be dumb enough to give him a nice long contract.
I think you're trying way too hard right now,
Where he
Eli.
will set fire to the rain.
Calling me dumb while he's reading off Adele songs from his phone. Come on. Off, man.
Run it. Go next topic.
Carney Chukwuemeka linked again via English sources.
Oh my God.
And Fabrizio Romano. Guys, I got 6 song lyrics and I'm sorry, Joey, I had to force that one in on you. Anyway, Carney Chukwuemeka is linked again via mainly English sources and Fabrizio Romano.
All I'm saying is not all our listeners agree with you, and having multiple opinions on different subjects helps us appeal to a broader audience. That's my point.
Yeah, absolutely. And if it happens, just remember I told you so. But furthermore, Build allegedly...
Fucking ridiculous, man.
A bid is allegedly being prepared for Facundo Buonanotte. We've been hearing these two guys rumored to sign for several weeks. What are your guys' thoughts? Is it actually going to happen? Are your dreams going to be dashed? What's going on?
So for me, like when it comes to Carney, I just don't know exactly where he's gonna fit in. Like, is he gonna be the 10, the 8? Is he gonna be fit all the time? I know they said, oh, he's done growing. So I don't really care about that rumor too much. Buonanotte, I'm gonna leave that one, to you guys to discuss. Because I can't look past the Carney one, to be honest. I can't look past it.
Buonanotte, it's probably, of course, other than Sancho, it's probably the only link that seems like it has any legitimacy to it right now. I guess I'm in favor for the fact that I'd like to see Dortmund do something. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I've talked enough about these guys. Really hope it's Buonanotte. If it's not Buonanotte, I might be very sad. That you could say that would not be bueno. Note. Anyway, we're on to our last segment after my very poor jokes, trying to get us through the lack of news that is occurring. And this segment, we are going to present better options that Borussia Dortmund should be targeting, instead of messing around with all these different guys because they're friends with the sporting director. Joey, do you want to have a first crack here and give us a guy that Dortmund should be targeting that we have not discussed on this show and has not been linked with Borussia Dortmund?
Don't think he's been linked with Borussia Dortmund. This is for the USA fans out there. Paxton Aronson. It's a decent midfielder. He's on the books at Eintracht Frankfurt, but he's been on a couple loan spells the last season. One at Vitesse, one at FC Utrecht. Probably butchered those pronunciations. Apologies. But he's got, between those two, at Utrecht, he had 9 goals in 37 appearances, and Vitesse, he had 4 goals in 14 appearances. He's got a reasonable market value around 8 million. Probably be a bit more expensive than that if Dortmund did target him, but he is 21, almost 22. Younger brother of Brendan Aronson, that is probably more familiar to U.S. men's national team fans, but a couple FB ref stats that are pretty decent. He's in the 94th percentile and touches in the attacking penalty area. 79th percentile in successful take-ons, and if I can read my own handwriting, 85th percentile in the progressive carries. In addition, the 97th percentile in tackles. So a decent midfield player who can play in the attack and also drop back into defense reasonably well. I think he could be a reasonable backup for a couple of our players, and since Dortmund don't have very many links right now, why not throw Paxton Aronson into the mix?
I like that shout. He did make a big jump this past season, playing in a little bit of a deeper role as a number 8, was very combative for Utrecht. And the goals kind of like did get better, but that's because he went from playing in the worst side in the league pretty much in Vitesse. You gotta add the little E at the end, Joey, next time. Remember that. And sorry for my poor Dutch pronunciation. I could be better there, but that's a little bit closer. Anyway, Paxton Aronson, great shout. Probably would be suited most similarly to that Joe Bellingham role, correct? Like that number, like second striker almost, but like dropping into midfield defensively to give you an extra body.
Yeah, I definitely think he could. Just like Job, who I didn't really expect him to move into that 10 or attacking position quite as much. It seems like Paxton Aronson, while more of a defensive-minded midfielder, the attacking output has really jumped from him in the last year. And should he stay with Frankfurt, I anticipate he will probably serve a similar role to Job, kind of hanging back in that 8 and moving up on either wing. But it's, again, I haven't watched the player a ton, but I do think that at least he's pretty promising, and he's a young guy that I think still has a much higher ceiling than we've seen. So as a US fan, I'm hopeful for that too.
How old is he?
21, but he's going to be 22 in like a month or so, I think.
Yeah, so the two little knocks I'd have on him are his frame. He's a little slender. And then, like, the fee would be the other one, which isn't really a knock. I just think that Eintracht Frankfurt have a ton of money and would demand, like, the bag and a half. But he's a very good player, and I definitely like the profile. Ali, can you give me your signing?
I would love to. Before I do, what is our transfer record fee? Let me just make sure.
5
million.
I thought,
it's euros, right?
Haller 38.
Oh, maybe.
I'm gonna Google it.
So let's just call it 40.
Yeah.
All right, cool. First one, and I'm only asking because of the second name I have here. So, first player, is someone that I think me and Eli like, and that's Yeremy Pino. I really like Pino. He's a right winger. He can play on the left from Villarreal. He's very quick, very strong on the ball. He tracks back a lot. Now, is that productive tracking back? I don't know, but he's very, very good. I'd love to have someone like that. Considering we have had a few exits out on the wing, and it doesn't seem like the club will be trusting much of the younger players to step up and fill those roles. So I do think that a player like him, I'm suggesting him, but a player like him at least would add a lot. He's good on the ball in terms of actually taking people on because of his pace. Yeah, there's a lot of things to like when it comes to Pino. I could just start saying stats, but what stats do you guys want to hear? What's most important to you guys at a winger?
Most importantly, that I want to know is, so I pulled up the FBref page, and what I'm seeing is a little different from what I saw of him when he was really young, because he used to be a bit more of a true winger, and it kind of looks like he's playing now more as like a wide midfielder or a like true winger back in like a 4-4-2. Like, what is his role right now?
It is a 4-4-2. It is a 4-4-2.
He's above where Jamie Gittins was in terms of expected goal contributions, but he's also over 3 tackles and interceptions per 90, which is very, very good for an attacking player.
So that is because Villarreal, right, as we know they're called the Yellow Submarine, and that's because those guys play a 4-4-2, they park it, and he's on the right typically, or the left side of it. They're very defensive, so when I say he's good against the ball, like I really do mean like he works hard against it. I don't know if you guys remember the clash against Bayern in the Champions League. He was very much, I believe, a part of that. He's a very good player. And so even if it's not him exactly, but someone like that who can play like you said, a wide midfield role, be very strong against it, and still be able to swing in crosses, deep crosses, and maybe get a goal or two every other week. Like that's the kind of player I'd like to see brought in. So I think he'd be a great option. What do you guys think about him?
Yeah, I think he's very, very interesting. I think the issue again is going to be the fee. Villarreal are big into that. That's what makes finding these alternative targets so difficult. But if the club can get him to sign on the dotted line, I'd be all for it. And I'm going to let Joey pick the first guy I'm going to read out here. I have a right back with an interesting pitch, kind of moving Ryerson into a center back role a little bit more. And then I have a midfielder, kind of true box-to-box guy. And then I have an attacker. Joey, which position do you want to hear about?
Let's hear about the right back first, Eli.
Okay, so I have 2 different guys written here. One is from Bruges. They have 2 different right backs that are both 19. So they have some positional flexibility there. They did lose De Kuiper. I don't know if they have a plan to switch one of these guys out left. I'm not really sure. But the one I prefer, he was injured a lot in the second half of the season, but it says. I just thought he was very mature in the Champions League, very defensively solid, covers ground well, technically very, very good. The other guy, a bit more interesting, maybe a bit more known, because in the second half of the season was when he really started to break out, is an 18-year-old named Yavairo Reed. He's at Feyenoord. He had about 2,000 minutes and 6 goals and assists. And I think that playing in a back 3, he's going to be better defensively pretty soon compared to Jan Koto, who's just, I think, a little bit too slight. Reed is still very thin, but I think he offers enough physically to still be at that level. And where he's really going to excel is in that creative role and he can carry the ball forward. I think he's a pretty great passer for his age, and I think he's a good passer for a fullback, regardless of age. Like I think he's a guy that I think can be excellent in possession, and like you're gonna maybe split Ryerson's minutes up a bit more and give yourself a little bit of leeway if you potentially want to move on from Jan Koto in a year, and this will give you a guy who's gonna be ready to play very very soon. And one of the other reasons I wanted to target a young right back is the positional depth for Dortmund. Like you look at every position and it's like, okay, Almugera Kabar probably not ready for senior football right now. But you look at like the right backs we're bringing. You look at the right backs that play for the second team. You look at the right backs that are playing for the U19s. In recent seasons, I'm not sure if we have a new right back for the U19s this year, but in the last couple of years, the right back position has been Ryerson and no one else at any level. Like we don't have a prospect. We don't have like a U23 guy. Like if we need like our third string right back is Pascal Gross, and I think if you bring in a really young right back, you keep one of your best midfielders in midfield, and you have a little bit more versatility because you're going to be starting um, Ben Sabaini to start the season at left center back. You're going to be starting Svensson at left back, so your backup left back is nowhere. This would give you a backup left back, but it would also give you a bit more reliable cover at right back and a guy that can be at the club for the next decade.
So I like the planning because I feel like we do have a bit of a succession problem. Um, and I do like the sound of that. So I'd like to see a player like that being brought in. I think it would do us like a world of good. Um, because like I said, sometimes it feels like we're planning to win now, not win now and then build for the next few years and still continue to win and things like that. So I do like the sound of the plan at least.
I mean, young players are always good. It's a little bit ironic, I think, that we could use a new right back or another right back because a left back is generally the position or the profile, I should say, that's more difficult to fill. Um, so I'm all in favor of signing another right back. I love Rierson, but his versatility means that he's used all over the pitch, and we could really use somebody in a reliable right back position. And a player like Jan Kuto, I think, is generally better when he's a little bit more attacking minded and used as a wing back. Um, so yeah, I like that idea too.
Yeah, and part of my thinking with not going for a left back is because you have Schlotterbeck coming back at a certain point, and then you're going to have Ben Sabaini and Svensson, which would allow you to play Ryerson either at right center back or right back. He could still be your starter, and then you have Reed to kind of rotate. Um, and then long term, you're eventually going to have Ben Sabaini leave on a free, and you bring back in Tom Rotha because that's kind of looking like a common sense move at this point, based off how he performed last year. 5 goals and assists for a team that don't put up anything attacking wise. So I just felt like that was good. Do either of you have anyone else you want to talk about?
I'm gonna let Joe go in first because the person I had in mind is apparently going to Inter. So give me a
Oh,
second.
That's
Can you just give us a name?
It was so I was asking about the transfer rumor, like the transfer number, because I didn't know how much we'd pay for him. Nicolo Rovella, the
Okay.
six at Lazio. Very very tough. That's kind of why I was gonna suggest it. But yeah, keep going.
that's kind of funny that he's going to Inter because the other player I was looking at plays for Inter right now. And it's Christian Aslani from Albania. He's a central defensive midfielder, very defensive minded. Think a player in a similar profile to a younger Emre Can. Player that is attempting a lot of passes and completing a lot of passes, kind of like that profile of dictating play from behind. He's according to FBref, 97th percentile in pass attempts, 87th percentile in pass completion, and 81st percentile in expected assists. So it seems like a decent, again, defensive midfielder, somebody who could drop back into defense if needed. But as Emre Can is getting a bit older and probably just going to see out his contract, it could be good to have another player of a similar profile, who's ready to build as part of the team. And I think at 23 years old, that's probably getting ready to enter his prime in that position.
How many starts did he have last year?
Not a ton. I think he went a little bit under the radar, but he was a regular starter at the Club World Cup.
Because kind of like one of my concerns with going to Inter is, are they going to charge you like a really big fee? Are they... Because they're kind of looking to kind of turn over a lot of their squad this year. Like they're trying to get a lot younger. They just lost their defensive midfielder, I believe, in oh my god, Turkish 45-yard free kick.
Actually, 39 appearances.
Çalhanoğlu. There we go.
39 appearances, and his market value is around 13 million. Of course, Inter would probably demand a much higher fee. But if it gets talked down to 15 to 20, then I think that could be a reasonable option.
Yeah, my concern would be 10 starts in the league last year, under 1,000 minutes. But the numbers are good, but I just have concerns with guys that put up good numbers and good teams off the bench. But it's definitely an interesting profile. With Albanian, he's probably like he's not 6 feet tall. That's another concern for me. I was going to say, like, Albanian midfielder, I'm thinking he's 6 foot tall, 2-footing people.
But 5'10"?
Maybe I'm stereotyping. Yeah, so for number 6, I have a few red flags I'd throw up. But he could be very interesting.
So then what's your second
give
name?
us a quick Rovella pitch?
No, I got somebody else who's not as good, but I could still throw him out there.
Okay, who are you throwing out there?
He's a 6. He plays for Betis. His name is Sergi Altimira, Altimira. I feel he's really young. He's 23. I say really young, but yeah, he's 23. He plays in the 6. He's decent on the ball. He has quite a few tackles and interceptions. I think there's room to grow with this guy. He's pretty tall, if I'm not mistaken, if I haven't already said that. Let me pull that up. Where is he?
FBref does not have his height.
Yeah, he's 188 centimeters, whatever that is in feet.
That's tall.
Go ahead. Yeah, he's tall. He's a lanky guy. Like, he's really, really tall. And he's not bad on the ball. He's good going forward in terms of, attempting passes, kind of like what Joe's looking for with Aslani. He is someone we can develop. I know he's only 23, or maybe you'll say he's 23. I don't know how much we could develop him. But as a 6, I feel like that's a position that like can take time. And if he comes into this squad, he'll have a lot of references, and he's very like tough. So I think someone like him would be nice, and he's fairly cheap.
Yeah, so he's about to turn 24. It's funny because like he's going into his age 23 season, but for about 99% of it, he will be 24 because he turns 24 right after the season will start. The issue I would have for him is he's at 4.5 progressive passes per 90. It's in a much less dominant team, but for reference, like Nemecha was at 5, and he's been very inconsistent. But to be fair, like when we signed Nemecha, he was closer to like 3.5. So there's a lot more, and that's also something that matures like later. But that would be a concern of mine. a little bit. But like with Spanish midfielders, that I almost want to throw away that concern. Like they typically know how to pass, especially coming out of Betis. Like that's pretty strong. Um, his aerial duel total, like uh per 90, is like pretty low. I don't know if that's a consequence of playing in Spain or him being like bullied a little bit. I'm trying to find that right now. Yeah, he's very bad in the air despite his height. That's also something that gets better with age, but like he's really bad at it. I don't I'd have to look at the tape and see like what's going on, because in his career across 2 seasons, he has a 33% dual win percentage and like has not tried many aerial duels. So that's another concern despite his height. So maybe Joey's like Albanian's a little bit shorter, but if he's a bully, then you never know.
The thing is with the league as well, you typically like the ball will be on the ground, and if the ball is in the air, it's typically around the center back area. So if he's losing them, he's losing them. It is what it is. But like you said, it could be something that we could help develop. And like I said, he's not too expensive. Still young-ish. Can help. You're smirking, and I want to hear what it is.
Oh, I was gonna say you feed him some brats and maybe he starts winning some
Yeah,
aerial duels.
there you go. But yeah, no, I think this could be a good signing, or this archetype. You know what I mean? This archetype. He's lanky. He's very strong. I was looking at Rovella because he's very aggressive, like super aggressive, and well, that idea went out the door really quickly. So yeah, I think this is a very good prospect to look at.
So, because I had a very punchy uh attacker, I'd say, in Calamuendo, but you guys all talked about midfielders. I'll give you a really quick pitch on midfielder. Technically, kind of breaking my own rule, I did speak about him on this show, but it was 2 years ago. He was still at Rennes at the time. He had just a few hundred minutes, I believe. No, that would have been a different player. I'm confusing players. Anyway, this guy, he was at Rennes, then he went to Basel, and he's come back from Switzerland, and he's been really good at Lyon. And actually, no, maybe I talked about him last year. Oh my god, it's only been 1 year. So I talked about this guy 18 months ago on our first ever How to Fix. Um, he had pretty decent tackle and interception numbers, but nothing crazy. He's a bit of an attacking eight, can play 10, so very much in that like Joe Bellingham role. But I think he's athletic enough, good enough defensively. He can put a tackle in if he needs to. But where he excels is in the middle of the park. He can progress the ball, um, and he's dominant. Like you cannot press him, you cannot get near him. He will just get past you. Um, he ranks in the top 3% for progressive carries, successful take-ons, and he is a final third passer. He's mainly doing like he does decent amount in terms of expected assists, and he's doing it not for a good team. He's doing it for long finished, like fairly mid table, I believe. So like there's a lot of promise in terms of his ability to dribble through the center of the park. I think that he's not the perfect profile, but he's a good one. Um, Calamuendo, I'll give you it in 30 seconds or less. It's about 13, 14 goal contributions, not including penalties. He can play as a striker. He can play out wide. If you need a guy to take penalties, if Garassi goes down, he's your backup striker. If you need a winger, if you need a second striker, if you need a guy to pair with Garassi, he's your guy. He's one of the best guys on the market. He's about to turn 23. Perfect time to get him. Off a good season though, so maybe like the fee's a little bit bigger. Like he's probably going to be around that 30 million mark. but he could end up being like a genuinely really good player.
Love it.
Yeah, same.
Oh,
Okay,
man.
so if Dortmund don't sign, any player that they've been linked to, Joey, of the players that you did not recommend, who would you most want them to sign?
I don't know, man. I'm gonna kind of take a swing in the left field here, and I'm gonna say one more player that neither of you actually suggested. Um, and we actually can't sign this player due to some FIFA regulations protecting minors abroad, but it's a certain Gilberto Mora, which is a name that we should all remember, I think. He's a 16-year-old Mexican player, plays for Club Tijuana. He's an attacking midfielder, and pretty impressive. He recently scored a brace in a 2-5 loss to LA Galaxy in the Leagues Cup, and a certain Marco Reus requested a jersey swap with him. So I think he's a player who we should perhaps remember. Um, and according to FB Ref, these are a couple of his stats. 99th percentile progressive carries, successful take-ons at 97th percentile, and touches an attacking penalty area, 99th percentile again. So he's an up-and-coming young player that I hope is on Dortmund's radar, to maybe swoop in and snag this kid in a couple years or get him to the academy, something like that. But he was the most promising player that I looked up when I was trying to think of a few for the podcast. Of course, he's the one that there's no chance because there are outside of Europe, there's some FIFA regulations, I believe, that prevent the transfer of minors, but I don't know how that works with the academies and such.
If he has an EU passport, he can sign now. If not, he can essentially agree a like pre-contract type of deal where he stays
Delayed.
until he's 18 and then he moves later. But we already have Agent Marco on the case, it sounds like. Ali, of a player that you did not name, who are you most interested in signing?
I mean, the two guys that I named are the ones I'm interested in signing.
That's fair.
Those were the two you're not supposed to pick, but
Okay. If, I don't know, cause it's kind of tough out here. There's like everybody is looking expensive, right? And I don't know where exactly the club wants to plug a hole, whether it's in midfield or attacking mid.
I want to plug a hole.
Honestly, it's 10. I want the 10. Like, I want someone young, someone, okay. I know I've been like talking La Liga this whole time. I suggested 2 La Liga players, and I'm gonna talk La Liga again. You know how Barca signed that kid Rooney? I wish Dortmund would have signed him, to be honest, or someone like him at least for 2 million, or I think it was like 2 or 3. Someone like that can play on either wing, probably learn to play 10, things like that. So I don't know, because everyone else seems expensive, and if we're gonna break the transfer fee, it better be for someone really good. I do like your idea. Oh, goddamn! I do like your idea of signing a right back as well to shift Rierson into the right side of a back three to well, first and foremost, protect him, right? To give him like his best opportunity as well. So I actually don't have a player because I was told 2, so I brought 2, and then I had to switch one last second. So, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I want positive and long-term growth, and that's kind of where my head's at. That's why I brought up Rooney.
I'm gonna show you guys a very quick way to do it. Honestly, now I'm forgetting his name. Oh my goodness. Do you know how many times I've signed this guy in Football Manager? I can't remember his name.
Is he a winger?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's Spanish. He's got a lot of vowels in his name.
Must be Sancho. That sounds Spanish.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Anyway, it's past my bedtime. I'll take Ali's little Valencia boy, even though he's 5'5.5".
Hey man. We love a short king. We love a short king.
Bring him in. He can probably play right wing back in a pinch. He can play right wing.
Yes, he can.
Play in a front two as well as a second striker.
Pressing
that's
demon.
That's the guy I want running around the box.
100%.
Probably can shoot very well from distance. Sounds great.
Not really, but sure.
Anyway,
if it's around the box, he's good.
Is there anything you guys want to plug before we go? Aside from Joey's wedding?
Yeah, it'll happen eventually. I have just launched a brand new literary journal called The Long and the Short of It, and we are accepting submissions for the very first issue, which is going to be released in October, and the theme is Playlist for the Apocalypse. So look us up online. It's a Substack right now, but we're trying to grow. Find us on Instagram too. It's Long and Short Lit. Look it up and reach out if you have any questions.
Fire.
I recommend it.
100%.
Yes.
Bro, anything Joey touches is gold. So you better be on that.
Thanks, Ali.
No problem,
Except
man.
for his
You're my
fiance,
favorite
who's a
here.
Human being.
Yeah. Oh, well, yes, of
But
course.
she's got some gold now.
Yeah. Oh, we love that. We love that. Man. Dortmund Dispatch everywhere and anywhere. YouTube, Instagram, the TikTok will come alive once the season starts. Blue Sky, we're everywhere you need content. So check us out. And we'll see you guys next week after Eli drops his plug. Bang.
Eat.brand.thrifts. It's right there if you're watching the video. On TikTok, I forget what my YouTube channel's name is, but I'm in a race with Dortmund Dispatch to 100 subscribers. I've made up a lot of ground. Gave him like a 70 subscriber head start, but cut the lead down in half. So
Fire.
well, that'll do it for us. Have a good one.
Jadon Sancho to score. No mistakes this time.
That is a rocket.
Royce out. Another fantastic goal by Marco Royce. Haaland's volley is beautiful beyond
Jetzt
compare.
kommt das Wunder von Dortmund. Foulspiel von Inzo an Götze.
Needs to lay it off. We're going to shot away. Oh, what a goal!